Coming to you from the great state of Wisconsin, this is a CS27 Studios production. You're listening to the Binary Brothers Podcast featuring Ryan and Clay. It's time now to open your ears and prepare your mind because life's too short to be constrained in black and white. So without further ado, here are your hosts, Ryan and Clay.
Hello, welcome to the Binary Brothers Podcast. I am Clay and co-hosting with me is Ryan.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
I'm glad you're with us because I can't.
I'm
I could not do this alone.
It wouldn't be the Binary Brothers. It would just be the Binary Brother.
I don't even know if it would be brother. It would just be
Speed.
binary digit, really.
It'd be a guy.
Yeah.
Just one lone man doing a podcast.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
I don't think that's very interesting.
No. Not especially for, a first episode where we're trying to get people interested.
Right. You wouldn't want to just be one guy talking to his imaginary friend or something.
No, that's not a good sell.
I'm here, I'm Ryan, and I'm real.
And I'm here, and I'm Clay, and I think real.
I don't know how any of us can be sure.
We can't, really. But moving on from that, we got a good first inaugural show here. We're going to be talking, main topic is going to be about the current trend in phones and how companies are taking away the headphone jack and maybe some other things too along with it. We'll probably hit some tangents. But
most likely.
Yeah, definitely guaranteed. We'll hit some sort of tangent. We already have, really.
It happened.
But before we even get into that, we want to kind of do a segment or two before the main topic, and we're going to do this pretty much every show here, where we kind of just set the mood and kind of give you a piece, kind of a look into our minds and our moods.
Yeah, what we're thinking, what we're feeling,
yes.
A little bit.
So you can just kind of gauge where we're at and where we're coming from, when we get to the topic, the main topic itself. So first off, Ryan, I got to ask you, what's the current jam? What are you listening to? What's really
jam?
What's really pumping through your ears, getting your earbuds tickling?
I've been listening a lot to an album, so not necessarily just one single jam, if you'll allow it.
Oh, I will allow it.
An album. It's by a group called Death from Above 1979.
Okay, yeah, I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah, we talked about that the other day. So
right.
they just recently came out with a new album called Outrage Is Now.
Okay.
And I've been listening to that a lot. I chose that as my current jam because I keep coming back to it.
Fantastic.
I listen to a lot of stuff, but I find myself going back, listening to this. Few tracks really stand out. So
yeah, and I remember once you told me, I think the next day I actually listened to a couple of tracks and I definitely enjoyed it. They have some good stuff. It's definitely like you said, it definitely has a little bit of a Queens of the Stone Age vibe to it at times, and I'm definitely a fan of that band, so that kind of helped at least get me into hearing Death from Above.
Oh yeah, I think there's like you said, I said Queens of the Stone Age is a similar sound. I think if you like them, you'll definitely like the stuff that they make.
For sure. Now, I only listened to a few songs, but are there albums, like full albums, basically like a story, or is it more kind of just, it seees like they're just kind of just a group of, singles or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't really seem, yeah, I got you. It doesn't really have like a unifying theme in general. Like it kind of just seems like they're more separate tracks. I mean, there's a few that have commonalities, but
a little bit of a flow, but not really a story or whatever.
Yeah, you're not going to listen to it like a Childish Gambino because the internet. His album was like one big world and told a story. It's not one of those, but I mean, it's definitely filled with solid tracks.
All right.
What about you, man? What's your current jam right now? What are you feeling?
Lately I've been listening to the fairly newish song that came out from 30 Seconds to Mars called Walk on Water.
Oh.
And I remember that same day we were talking about Death from Above, just looking at my phone, I saw the video come out for, I think it was Eminem and Beyonce's new song, which is called Walk on Water itself as well.
That's where I've heard the name before. I heard the name, and I was thinking to myself, that's familiar, but definitely not by 30 Seconds to Mars. I haven't heard 30 Seconds to Mars version. Yeah,
so I'm really digging the 30 Seconds to Mars one, and I was excited when I saw that because I'm like, is this, a remix or a version of that song but done by Eminem and Beyonce? Because that might sound kind of cool. I was a little excited about that, but then I listened to it and it's a completely separate song. It's completely different. It's just completely different. Has the same name though, but
no relation.
Yeah, and I can't say I'm like a huge fan of that genre. So maybe it's just me. I do dig some songs, but it was hard for me to get into the Eminem and Beyonce Walk on Water song.
I have not heard either. I'm gonna have to give both a listen.
Yeah, but yeah, 30 Seconds to Mars song. Been digging that, and it's maybe a couple months old now. I've definitely heard it before, but I just kind of this week I kind of came back to it, and it's been helping out my ears a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah, I haven't listened to any 30 Seconds to Mars in a while, but I'd be willing to let them back.
And they've been kind of in a little bit of a hiatus the last few years, I think. So they kind of just, this was like their first song back in a few years, and I think they're going to have an album sometime next year or something. But so it's definitely not a band I've really heard a lot lately either. It's just kind of like old stuff that comes up in a feed, but this, that song it's not an album, but it's a song that I kind of liked.
Definitely can get into. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but beyond songs, beyond jams, do you have anything that would get you, or is getting you stoked coming up here? I know we've talked about this a little bit, but you're going to be closing on a house pretty soon, right?
I am going to be closing on a house tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Oh yeah, the big day has finally come. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
On a house, our very first house.
Yeah, you and your wife.
Me and my wife. Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, very exciting times in our household right now.
For sure. I
I know you guys. I mean, you've bought, 2 houses now, right?
Yeah. I mean, not at the same time.
It's not like you
No.
got a vacation home.
No. Yeah, but I just bought my current place a couple months ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be a bit of a long process. Definitely kind of builds up to that whole closing date. So
yeah, I mean, we went through, we saw so many houses. I mean, part of the reason why I'm so stoked, not only to get into my own place, but like just to kind of be done with the whole home finding and buying process.
Right. And especially with the market not being that strong for buyers right now, at least where we are at.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That kind of puts a little bit extra, I don't want to say pressure, but it doesn't make it easy.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely times when, we went out to go look at a house and, we maybe got excited about it. And by the time we thought about putting an offer in, it's already gone.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, it's definitely awesome. Found a house. I think it's a great house for us, little starter place. And it's just going to be really cool to get in there. Hopefully moving doesn't suck. Sometimes moving can suck.
Oh, moving definitely sucks.
But, I mean, hopefully the weather stays decent at least. I don't care if it's cold, just as long as it's mostly dry.
Right, yeah, you gotta make sure you find a day that's not pouring rain or freezing rain or something. But I mean, depending on how early you have to get out of your current place, or time crunch or whatever, how sensitive that is, you can kind of play it out a little bit.
Oh yeah, we've got a little bit of wiggle room. Yeah. So I mean, if we see the forecast and it looks like garbage, I mean, we're just gonna move it.
Right, and that's something I've done with my two houses that I've gotten. When I've moved in, I've basically moved in over the course of like a month each time.
Right, just piecing stuff together. Yeah, we did that with our last place. I mean, we found this new apartment, and then we moved the bulk of stuff over, but there was still some stuff left over the old. But there's actually a fire.
Oh man!
At the old building, and we were like, oh no, maybe the stuff we left there is just gone. But it didn't get to our chunk of the apartment building. But it was nice to have that overlap there. Hopefully, no apartment fire this time.
For sure. Nobody wants that.
No one wants the fires. No one gets stoked about fires.
No, unless you're a fireman.
Well, yeah.
Firefighter. Sorry.
Fire person.
Fire person.
Does that mean you're a person that's made of fire, or?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I haven't really done my research for that.
I mean, maybe that's something we need to look into.
Maybe.
What's the definition of fire people?
Fire people.
All right, man. What's got you stoked? You've heard the people have heard about us and our house and how stoked we are about that. What about you? What's getting you excited right now?
Honestly, I've kind of have a little bit of a gap right now.
Really?
Yeah, I was just down in Phoenix a couple weekends ago, so I was really pumped for that for a while. But now I'm kind of on the lull a little bit afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Cool down after an exciting trip. But I am excited. I am already kind of planning another trip right now with a couple coworkers. We're going out to Colorado for snowboarding in January.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Yeah, and that's going to be my first time out there.
Okay,
west,
cool.
So I'm excited for that. But that's a ways away. I don't know if I have anything super exciting, coming up really soon. You know what? I'm going to take that back. I'm getting really excited for Thanksgiving here.
Ooh.
Because
that's so exciting about Thanksgiving.
It's just kind of one of my favorite holidays. That's really what it is. What it comes down to. I think it gets overlooked way too much. A lot of people get it. Oh my God. We were talking over each other.
Oh no.
You could tell how new we are at this. The chemistry is just not there.
It's just not there.
No. But yeah, so Thanksgiving gets overshadowed. I mean, everyone kind of looks forward to Halloween, dressing up, costume parties and everything. And then basically right after that, you see stores getting their, Christmas decorations out. And for good reason. I mean, they have to sell their stuff. So they can't really wait till after Thanksgiving.
Right.
You got to get it out and sell. But because of that, people start seeing all those decorations and everything, and they just kind of seem to ignore that Thanksgiving is a thing.
Right. It's almost like it doesn't exist, especially like you said, when you go to stores. I mean, we literally went to Target one day and all Halloween stuff. Next day we went all Christmas stuff.
Yeah, so the worst is when they
definitely good overlooked.
Yeah, and I can handle the decorations, but it's when the stores also start playing the Christmas music nonstop before Thanksgiving.
Right.
Like that can wait. You don't have to sell your elevator Christmas music while I'm shopping.
Nobody wants to hear it that early.
No.
Some people can barely stand it in the thick of the season.
Right. But Thanksgiving to me, I mean, you get with family, you have a lot of really good food to eat, and so Thanksgiving Day, there's football on. You can just basically relax, on a couch or whatever, watch football pretty much all day. It's just, for me, I love it.
There's few better days.
Right.
Like you said, it hits all the right boxes, right?
Yeah.
Food, sports,
family.
It's all there.
All there. And then and then I guess, if you're into it, then you have the whole Black Friday, which a lot of families kind of get together and will do that, together to get their Christmas shopping done.
Oh, sure.
But
Black Friday. That could be a whole main topic.
That could be a topic by itself.
In and of itself.
Yeah.
I mean,
let's not dive too far into that one here.
Too soon.
Yeah. But yeah, it's it's a nice that holiday is definitely a nice kind of start to then, the holiday season, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that's really what's kind of got me stoked in the short term, at least.
I mean, that's coming up. It's coming up pretty soon.
Yeah.
We both got
right around the corner.
Exciting things happening real quick here.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yours a little bit sooner than mine.
Just a bit.
Although it's not just mine, mine is kind of yours too.
Yeah,
it's kind of everyone's.
I get two things
America,
to be stoked about, I guess.
Canada already had their Thanksgiving.
Did they really?
Yeah, they have. The Canadian Thanksgiving is like in, I don't know if it's September or October. I think it's October.
Wow. They're just on top of it.
Yeah. It's crazy.
When do they put out the Halloween stuff?
I don't know. Actually, I think they skip Halloween. I think they just do Christmas right after
they just Thanksgiving in October, no Halloween. What is that?
Yep. I'm pretty sure.
Straight to Christmas.
Yep. They have
seems legit.
2.5 months of Christmas.
2.5 months of Christmas music.
Yeah. That sounds lovely. I'm sure they're just apologizing profusely for that all the time.
Sorry.
Sorry about this music. Oh. All right. Let's actually get into our main topic now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's not do the Black Friday. Let's do what we said we were going to do and talk about phones and jacks. Some
of them have them. Some of them don't.
Mostly the recent ones that don't.
Yeah, it's been a trend. A lot of companies are moving towards not having a headphone jack on their phones. Don't know why.
Don't know. It's not something, the customers or the users have really asked for. It's more of something that Apple basically pushed, right?
Well, I mean, doesn't that seem like it's a typical thing of Apple to do?
Yeah, they're definitely on the forefront of trying to push new ideas.
Right. So they do something, and they basically tell you this is what you want.
Yeah, and they have so many people because of their successes in the past. So many people will just gobble it up and go with it.
Right. I mean, that's the thing is you get someone like Apple in there who decides to get rid of it, and being one of the biggest and most popular smartphone manufacturers, other people are just going to follow suit. I mean, I don't think LG has yet, but I know that Google's new Pixel phones, the Pixel 2s, neither one of those have a headphone jack.
No. And then same with Samsung's flagship.
Yeah, and I mean...
Or their new... I think the Galaxy, what is it? The Galaxy 9, 8, 10?
I think we're on the 8.
I'm getting the iPhone and the Galaxies mixed up in numbers.
We had exploding Note 7s.
Exploding Note, oh yeah.
That was a feature that they, due to popular demand, removed.
Yes, right. Yeah, so I mean, they tried to be on the forefront there, They're trying to have fire phones, fire people.
And we're going to stop having exploding phones.
Yep.
I feel like that was a good day in Samsung headquarters.
Yeah.
But I mean, how do you feel about the lack of a headphone jack? Like, does that impact you? Does that impact your buying decisions?
Yeah. I mean, kind of. I mean, I'm not really in the market right now, I would say, of getting a phone. But my phone is a couple years old, but I haven't really thought too much in getting a new one just because my current one's doing fine, and I'm not the type of person that needs the newest phone every year or 2 years. I don't do a 2-year contract. I just buy my phones outright and then use them for as long as I can.
Yeah, same here.
Right. So a lot of people do the 2-year contracts, and then after that ends, they can upgrade, right, and get a new version of a phone or something. But that's not really the case with me. But I was kind of looking or eyeing up the new Google Pixel, Pixel 2 phones. But then I saw that they went without the headphone jack. Followed suit of Apple, and I basically just got immediately turned off.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, do you use? So I mean, that's something I hear from people. But so do you use wired headphones then really often, or just as an auxiliary port, or why is it such a big deal for you?
Yeah. So I drive a 2009 Saturn Aura, and it doesn't have Bluetooth capability, but it has an aux jack. So I can use my phone's headphone jack with an aux cable, plug it in, and play Spotify, because radio is just awful.
Oh, radio is so awful.
Yeah. So I can play a podcast like the Binary Brothers podcast, or my own musical playlists on my commute, which is actually much shorter nowadays, so I don't really have that much time to listen to something long. But like, if I got a phone that didn't have that, I would basically have to either upgrade my car's stereo system,
right?
Which I'm not gonna do. That's not really an option. I'm just throwing that out there,
right,
as an option that potentially could happen.
It could be a thing, but you're not going to do it.
Yeah, not me. Or I'd have to keep like a backup device. Like, I would have to keep this old phone, right, to use it.
A dedicated car music player.
And it's not really something that interests me.
Right. I mean, and if you think about it, for you, if you kept your old phone, it would still have to have some sort of connection to the internet. Right. I mean, that's an additional cost, right? Unless you cache everything on your phone.
Well, yeah. So with Spotify, I've downloaded playlists. I pay for Spotify Premium or Prime or whatever it's called. Amazon Spotify Prime. So I can download the music, and then it's basically on my device. I don't need an internet connection to play it. So that's nice. But yeah, if I ever add music to that playlist or something, I would have to re-download those songs. And I can do that through Wi-Fi, so I could do that at home or something.
Right.
But it just seems like an unnecessary extra step for me to do.
But yeah, I could definitely see that. Or if you haven't thought of a third option, let me throw one at you.
Go ahead.
One that's wildly inconvenient and hit or miss.
I just might dodge it.
Maybe. I don't think you'll be able to. It's a broad option.
It's a fastball.
It's those FM transmitter things that they have.
Yeah.
You can take one of those, and they plug into your auxiliary and your 12-volt power outlet in your car, and then you Bluetooth to that, and that'll output through your speakers. That though, I've seen, it depends. Even if you get a decent one, sometimes the performance is just garbage.
Right. And that kind of goes back to the whole situation with you're removing a headphone jack, and because of that, now you have to purchase extra dongles.
Live the dongle life.
Yeah. I mean, what, the iPhone X is $1,000?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the type of person that will pay for that. That's way too much for a phone for me. But then you have to, does that come with
I think they
the
still
AirPods, or do you have to buy those separately?
I think they either come with some lightning headphones.
Oh, okay. But then you have to unplug the headphones to then charge your phone. Or you have to pay an extra $30 or whatever to buy a dongle that'll let you do both of those activities simultaneously.
Right. And it gets to be too much
And
with the dongles.
I mean, that's something that Apple's kind of notorious for, right?
Oh yeah, like the premium accessory
Right.
market, you know.
Yep. I mean, they're basically a hardware company first and foremost.
Right.
And you go back to like their laptops. What was that MacBook? I don't know if it was a MacBook Pro or just a MacBook. That was a single port laptop.
One USB-C port, I believe.
Yeah, whatever it was. And like, are you serious? Like, nobody asks for this.
No, yeah, right. It's again a situation where, you get these phone manufacturers or just hardware manufacturers. I don't know where they get their data from, but they just decide, hey, we're going to make this fundamental change, and you guys just have to deal with it.
Yeah, and the thing is that with them, because they're a company that's had so much success, and especially in their past and their history with innovation, that they basically can try whatever they want, and even though nobody really wants it, or the lack of a feature, those same people still want the new device.
Oh yeah.
And that want kind of overweighs their lack of wanting
right.
that feature taken away, right?
Yeah, someone will get in line for a phone, it just knowing full well everything about it, knowing that there's some flaw in it, just to have the newest one, or just, I'm a person who goes and gets the new one every year. I know how you said you're not one of those type of people, and I kind of used to be one of those, but it was on the Android side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But it was more so, I'd get a phone and I was just super interested in
the new technology, right?
Yeah, I was super interested in the new technology,
the improvements in the hardware behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, so I always wanted a new thing because it had a bigger screen or a better processor, or like one of the first phones in America to have a fingerprint scanner was the Motorola Atrix.
Yeah,
I remember, and I had one of those back in college, and I got that phone simply because it had that cool feature of a fingerprint scanner.
Right.
So I mean, when it comes to things like that, like I was really into always having that newer thing, but like nowadays there's not all that much innovation in the smartphone world, for being honest.
Or if there is, there's innovation in very minute or small things.
Right. We're not making like huge leaps in hardware anymore. It's a lot of, software features, especially.
Yeah, and every flagship phone for every company basically has this very similar specs.
Right. I mean, I'm looking at, I've read articles in the past few days about phones that have come out, and mostly Android phones, because that's mostly what I'm interested in, but it's every single one of them, Snapdragon 835.
Right.
Every single one of them has 6 or 8 gigs of RAM, and, the same base storage. They're basically the same phone internally. It's a game of who can put the best camera sensor in, and do the best things with the camera software and all that.
Yeah, it really depends on what you're looking for from your phone too, right? If you use your phone as a taking a lot of pictures, or if you use your phone as more of, I don't know, what do people use their phones for nowadays?
I don't know, right? Like
calling. They definitely don't use it for calling people.
Nobody calls. No.
I absolutely hate talking on the phone. I really do. I had someone call me today at work, and I was annoyed the entire time.
Why? Why'd you call me?
Pretty much.
Do you ever get you text someone and they call you back?
No, I've never had that.
Oh, that's happened to me a couple times.
That sounds awful, though.
Not the best.
No.
But I mean, so I mean, back to like the headphone jack, I guess. Like, just bring it back around to that for a minute. It's like, for me personally, I can see all the reasons why you would be concerned about it. Mm-hmm. But for me personally, like my car has Bluetooth.
Sure.
So super convenient. And my headphones are Bluetooth. So most of the things that I would use a headphone jack for, I don't really have a need for on a daily basis.
Right. But you already have those Bluetooth headphones.
Right.
I currently do not. I would have to go out and buy Bluetooth headphones or
Right,
a dongle of some sort.
Oh, or dongle it up. Just awful.
Dongles on dongles on dongles.
I see what people are saying about, missing a feature like that, but and it's easy to just say, well, go get some Bluetooth headphones or go do this. No one wants to use a dongle. So basically you're kind of forcing people into, using those Bluetooth devices. And, while it's okay in some way because it's an easy problem to solve, you don't really want to force people to have to go spend more money. Like you said, someone bought an iPhone 10 and it's $1,000. And then they have to go buy, to get a decent pair, $30 headphones.
Right. And $50. $30 or $50 on top of $1,000 isn't really much, but it's still something, right?
Right. It's more than leaving the headphone jack in and letting people use what they already have.
Yeah. And by the way, you still have to pay extra for, your data or your phone plan or whatever. So, you have that on top of your base phone cost too. And then all those things basically just add up.
Right. Do you remember the days when you would get a phone? It wasn't cheap then because, the technology was new then, but
right.
You buy a new phone, it's a flip phone, the new Razr and the new Motorola Razr was, $350.
Oh yeah. But that was, but that brings it kind of back full circle. Getting a phone like that or a phone like the Apple iPhone 10 or X or whatever you want to call it, or getting whatever the new phone is very much a social status thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, definitely. I was with a group of people the other day and one of them had the iPhone 10. And, it was a topic of discussion and people oohing and eyeing and, looking at it, wanting to know how it worked, what the different, all the stuff about it. And it is definitely a social thing for sure. And then potentially a social status thing because, I'm the first one of my friends to have this cool new thing.
Yeah. And for me, like I said, I'm not really someone. I'm too old now, and that's a weird thing to say because I'm only 27. But I'm too old to really care if I have the newest phone or newest gadget in my social group of friends. It's not really a big part of who I am.
Yeah, but, it's a thing that, like you said, it kind of fades. There's a time when it's everyone is jealous of you having the new thing, right? But as adults or people our age, you get that new thing, and it might be cool at first if you're one of the first ones to have it, but
that wears off very quickly,
so much faster than it used to.
Right, and then you're looking at your empty wallet, thinking, no. That wasn't really worth it, but I was looking at the Google Pixel 2 because I was really interested in getting that Project Fi network.
Oh yeah,
right?
That's Google's own wireless network. It piggybacks off of, I think, T-Mobile and Sprint's networks together.
A couple, basically any single tower that you can kind of connect to, it'll connect to.
Right.
But then it'll automatically switch to Wi-Fi if you're on a Wi-Fi connection. So it won't use that data, and you just basically pay as you go per gigabyte of data.
Yeah.
So you have a base price, of $20.
Yeah.
And then if you're on Wi-Fi all the time, you're not going to be using a whole lot of data. So you might only be paying $20 a month for your data plan.
Right. I
Right?
mean, yeah, because if you think about it, me and most people at home definitely have Wi-Fi, and
Oh, yeah.
other places they spend a lot of time, and then potentially it depends on how your office is, what the rules are and stuff.
Right.
But if you can connect to the Wi-Fi there, like at my office, my phone's connected to the Wi-Fi. So
Yeah. So you're almost connected like 24/7.
yeah, almost all the time, right? So moving to Project Fi would be, a super smart move. And I know at first they didn't have like family plans
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, so it was that same base price for every line, which still isn't all that bad. But now they have group plans, so you start with one, and then the next one I think is like $15 or something like that, so a little bit cheaper.
Yeah. But yeah, that just seemed like a really nice solution, and a way for me to maybe save some money a little bit. And because that Project Fi is only really available on a couple phones, and basically the Pixel phones and maybe the Nexus phones, but those are discontinued now.
Yeah, I got the last one.
Yeah, did you really?
Oh yeah, Nexus 6P.
Oh man, but yeah, so I would have to get that phone to be able to use that, and then I saw it came without a headphone jack, and I'm like, well, okay, what am I doing here?
What am I giving up to save?
So basically, I'm just sticking with my old phone now.
Kind of stuck.
Yeah, but
I mean, you could probably go with the last generation Pixel. I'm pretty sure you can probably pick one of those up.
And I've looked at that too. I've debated it, but at the same time, you kind of want the new thing, right?
You kind of want the new thing. I mean, that's not necessarily just because of the social thing that we were talking about before, but one of the things I always think about when I'm buying a new piece of tech, especially, and I feel like I buy new tech too often.
Yeah, me too.
But like when I think about what I'm buying, I think to myself, I probably want maybe the best thing that I can get.
Right.
You want the newest one because it'll potentially last you longer.
Right. You don't want to kind of skimp out and be a little bit cheap in the case that means that the product cut corners and it won't last as long. Right. And then with technology and the hardware behind it, with the software and operating system, especially mobile, progressing all the time, you need the hardware behind it to keep up. And if you kind of skimp on it and buy something that's a little bit old, all of a sudden you're not able to install the newest operating system, whether it's Android or iPhone. Right. So you got to think about those things too.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that factor, right? Because there's people that sometimes ask me like, oh, what phone should I buy, or what phone is like really good right now, or they'll tell me they're thinking about maybe a last generation phone, and the only time that I would probably ever suggest a previous generation phone if you're looking for a new one is to save the money. But I always add the caveat that it's already been outpaced, so it's only going to get worse.
Right. And it really depends, especially on what they're expecting out of this phone too, or their new piece of technology that they're buying. Right.
It all depends as well on how often they're going to use it. That's another thing I think of is thing like a phone. How many times do you pick up your phone a day and like do anything on it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so if you think about it in terms of I'm going to use this thing a bunch of times every day, it might be worth paying that extra to make your experience better.
Right. And if you're someone like us who are developers and want to use it maybe as a test device for maybe a project we're doing, we got to make sure that it can handle that, right?
Oh, definitely.
As a test case, a test device before launching, this product or project out to consumers.
Right, and I mean it's always a thing you want to do. You don't want to test in production, so
Right.
you're gonna want to test on your own stuff, and ideally you'll want to test on something that's solid that can handle whatever you're throwing at it. But I mean, at the same time, to get more developer-y about this, but
Hey, this is the Binary Brothers podcast.
that is going to be an aspect of it.
Yeah.
As developers, you kind of have to cover your bases for some of those older devices at times too. But I mean,
Yep.
if I'm developing something brand new, I'm going to make sure that it works on the older devices, but I'm definitely going to want the new hotness to test it out on right away.
Right. And that all comes back to, your research about your customers and consumers and the data you get, what percentage of the people are still using the older devices and should you support those?
Right.
So it all comes back down to data, and I don't know if removing the headphone jack was because of supporting data.
Right. I mean, I don't know who did they ask, because it seems like the vast majority of people were unhappy about it when Apple did it with their iPhone 7, I believe, for last year.
Yeah.
And people aren't happy about it now with the new generations of other phones. So, I mean,
but
I'm just wondering who out there they asked, and they were like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, you know who they asked?
Probably
the amount of people who still bought it.
Yeah.
Right? After complaining, they still went out and bought it.
That's the thing. Vote with your wallet, they always say.
And that's
do you believe in that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's really the only way you can do it in our economic society and in a capitalist environment, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can see merit to the idea, and it's just I think not enough people are willing to commit to not having the new thing to tell Apple or Google or Samsung that they didn't like the fact that they removed the thing.
Yeah. I
mean, hopefully the data would show with, whatever other manufacturer is making a phone that has a headphone jack. Hopefully the data would show that, more people wanted this, but unfortunately, I think not enough people act on that vote with your wallet mentality.
Right. I completely agree. And the thing that really scares me the most, though, is the potential in the future for these companies, whether it's Apple or Google or Samsung, to reintroduce the headphone jack as a new feature for a phone.
I never thought of that.
I mean, we've seen it in at least I've seen it in other industries. You see it all the time in like the video game industry, where especially with like sport games, where they're essentially roster updates every year.
Yeah.
One year they'll have a bunch of features. The next year they'll take out a bunch of those features, and then the year after that they'll return those features and say they're new features, right?
Right.
So that's kind of something I'm concerned a little bit about. But on the flip side, if enough companies do this, you'd think it would be gone for good.
Right. I mean, the major players in the game right now are doing it, and not necessarily for really good reasons. I know that one reason that people cite for getting rid of a headphone jack is to waterproof better. And there's a couple things that I have on that, and it's one, how often are you really getting your phone all that wet? Because I know that I pay $1,000. No, I don't swim.
You don't swim at all.
I don't swim at all. It's not really a thing that I really do. But I'm definitely not taking my $1,000 phone, if I were to have one, and swimming with it for any amount of time.
Put it in any sort of dangerous situation.
No,
potentially dangerous situation.
Death gripping that phone, which with the Google Pixel 2, and
now, do you put a case on your phone?
The assistant, I do.
You do?
I do put cases on my phones. Do you?
No, I don't.
Ooh, you're a naked phone
I
kind of
am.
guy,
Well,
huh?
there is so much data and research that these companies supposedly do to make these phones the shape they are. I feel like the case is just
Throw it off.
hiding their true beauty.
I mean, I will admit that my current phone looks a heck of a lot better without a case on it.
Right.
And the times that I've taken the case off, I've thought to myself, I would love to use this without the case on, but my problem is that I always think to myself, I'm gonna drop it
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna get like super scuffed up, or screen's gonna break. And that's
Right.
my general. So I used to use those super intense dual layer OtterBox cases.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I used to use those, and I got into like putting skins on my phone.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
instead,
you gotta look cool.
I got
Social
I love
status right there.
carbon fiber
Oh,
thing. I like it,
best fiber.
but like I wanted to do that, so I ended up getting a pretty thin clear case for my phone, which I really like because it brings it closer to, like you said, that profile that the manufacturer intended, and gives me that little bit of protection that I'm worried about with dropping it and breaking something straight up.
Well, I'll have you know that I've only had the screen broken once on this phone.
Ooh.
And it wasn't my fault. Like I don't drop my phones ever. I'm pretty good with my phones. But the one time I break the screen on this phone, I was at a bar restaurant. We were sitting, a group of friends and I, we were sitting at a kind of a high top tabletop.
Okay.
With bar seating.
Yeah.
Or stools, whatever they call those things. And there's this table. It's kind of like, this place is kind of like an old, like almost rustic kind of theme. And this table has kind of a crack in it because it's like they split a tree trunk, so it's kind of just like
like a nice finish on it, but
right.
it still looks fairly rugged, or definitely like
yeah. So there's this crack, but it's not really all that big. It's just kind of a little thing. But so my friend gets a pitcher of beer to bring to our table, and I have my phone on the table because I hate sitting down with stuff in my pockets.
Oh, can't stand it.
Yeah. So I put my phone up on the table, and don't worry, it's not going to fall through the crack.
I was thinking it was going to fall through the crack.
If you were thinking that, I'm going to tell you right now, it did not do that. So prepare for what actually happens here. So the pitcher of beer gets brought back, and so my friend, as nice of a person as she is, decides to pour everyone's glass from the pitcher.
Oh,
and
that's nice.
Hands it out. Yeah, very nice, very friendly thing to do. And so she pours mine, and she passes over to my side of the table the glass of beer, and the glass, as she's passing it over, hits the crack, tips over, and the river of beer takes my phone up on and floats it over the edge of the table, the high top bar seating table, down onto a pure concrete floor.
Oh no.
Yeah. I just looked at it.
Who would have expected?
No, I didn't. Honestly, it happened so fast, but it seemed like it was in slow motion. You know those moments.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
For sure.
Like,
But
I had a TV knocked over that I thought to myself, why didn't anyone save that? It was falling for like 30 days.
But yeah, so I'm looking down and I'm like, oh my god, it's probably going to be ruined by the beer. First off,
right?
Because this isn't one of those waterproof phones. This isn't. I mean, this is a couple years old. This is basically right as Samsung probably just when they started promoting, waterproof or water resistant phones.
Right. And
I don't have a Samsung. I have a Moto X. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's going to be ruined by the beer. But it wasn't. And then I flip it over, and the screen's just completely cracked. Thankfully, my friend offered to pay for screen replacement. So, once again, very friendly, nice person.
Well-intentioned.
Yeah, it was a freak accident. I didn't blame her at all. It was just kind of one of those, dumb things that happen. So, but yeah, otherwise, like, I don't have a reason, unless I'm at a bar, I guess, to have a case on my phone. And honestly, I don't even know if a case protects from that.
Yeah, I don't know.
At least not a thin case.
Yeah, it probably depends. I think to myself, if this falls just right, and there's plenty of just right ways it could fall.
Right. It always seems to fall just the right way.
Oh yeah, I mean you got your phone in your dual layer OtterBox, and then you drop it and it falls on a random railroad spike, like wide, of course.
Just a random nail sticking out of the ground.
Yep.
You thought tetanus would get to you? No, that's gonna get your phone.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm paranoid enough, even though, like you, I don't drop my phone very often. I just feel like I want that there because I want my stuff. Protect the thing,
Right. Well, yeah. If you're spending $1,000 on a phone.
Oh, sure.
You kind of want to protect your investment. And speaking of which, do you see that guy who, like, one of the first people who bought an iPhone 10 was showing it off to, like, news reporters and dropped it. And it broke.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, doesn't that happen, like, every year?
I feel like it does. I feel like it's probably staged, too.
Every year this guy goes somewhere, gets the first phone, and then drops it.
There's gotta be some, like, Kickstarter or GoFundMe for this.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'd probably kick in a couple bucks.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's entertaining.
To get the funny video out of
Right.
it, just to get other people's reactions, if nothing else.
Exactly. No. What's the verdict? Headphone jack or no?
I mean, for me personally, I'm okay with the removal. I'm fine with it because I'm already in position for there to be no headphone jack. I have Bluetooth in the places I need it, and so I'm fine with that removal. And I would buy a new phone that didn't have a headphone jack.
All right. Well, for me, I don't plan on getting a phone without a headphone jack, but I'm willing to see what time says.
Right.
I don't need a new phone right now unless I somehow drop this, off a bar tabletop again.
Unless there's a river of beer.
Yep. If there's a river of beer willing to take my phone and break it once again, I might consider getting another one.
I feel like at that point you're almost
like
obligated.
Destined. Yeah.
You just get a different phone and probably get the best one you can get, because what are the odds that 3 times your phone's going to be taken away by a river of beer?
I can't imagine the odds are very good. But, and the biggest thing for me with looking for a new phone is I got to have like a pure Android experience. So, like I'm not big into getting into the Apple ecosystem, because you get into that, you basically have to get everything, right?
Oh yeah.
You have to basically get a laptop or a computer with it, especially if you want to develop for it.
Yeah, it all works best together. Oh,
right.
Don't.
I'm not. That's a whole different topic. But yeah, so like iPhone's out for me, so I'm not going to be paying $1,000 for a phone.
You could still pay $1,000.
I could. You're right. I could.
The Pixel 2 XL, you can push it up there.
Honestly, the Pixel 2 XL is a little bit too big of a phone for me, though. I don't really like huge phones. But so Samsung's out too, because they put a lot of kind of bloatware on Android.
A lot of garbage.
Yeah. So that's out. So that's why I have the Moto X, because it's a very pure experience. But that's why I'd be leaning towards like a Google Pixel phone. And, well, if they don't have a headphone jack, I guess I'm kind of, I'm a little bit out of luck, and I kind of have to go for it.
Right. Yeah. Where does it leave you in this current scape? If you want pure Android, there's very few places to get it, and now they're starting to go that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, if you go into the Apple ecosystem, you're gonna want to go all in.
And, it's go big or go home with Apple, pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really think it's just going to be about time for me. What the timing is. I don't like it right now, but it might be something I have to do, and I use the term "have to" very loosely. But yeah, so I think that's that. We're pretty much out of time. We've been going for about just almost an hour here, which is pretty good time for a podcast, I'd say. I think we pretty much nailed it first episode.
I think we did a great job.
Time-wise, at least. So
time-wise.
Yes, time-wise. But yeah, so I think that's going to mean this is a good place to kind of just hop on off and say goodbye and say, hey, see you next time, right?
Yeah, I mean, thanks to anyone who's listened to this. We're new.
For sure.
We love feedback.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let us know what you think. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I know we're enjoying it so far.
Yeah, check us out. We're on all the social media platforms that you can pretty much think of. Except for MySpace. Don't look for us there.
Don't look. It's mostly music.
And Tom.
And Tom, of course, Tom.
But otherwise, you can pretty much find us anywhere. We're very new, so we probably don't have a whole lot of following. But hey, that's an opportunity for you as a listener to be one of the first, fans, right?
Get it started.
Yeah.
Get that fancy new thing, and that fancy new thing here is the Binary Brothers podcast.
For sure.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Binary Brothers Podcast. We can't wait for you to tune in next time. But until then, make sure to find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, and BinaryBrothersPodcast.com.